Good morning, everyone. This morning we're in 2 Samuel 15 through 19, and not a pleasant subject, but an extremely necessary warning. David is now going to live out or live through the consequences that a previous failure brought into existence. And even knowing that it was coming didn't change the fact that it was coming, which is something that we should all take note of. If you remember a few weeks back, David determined that Bathsheba was worth the risk. The pleasure for the night was worth the consequences that could come. Because in his mind, I'm sure he was imagining that, wow, this great night with a beautiful woman is going to be... it's going to just be everything. It's going to be amazing. And then it leads to a sequence of events in his own heart that actually, in our minds, would eclipse the first sin. In God's eyes, it doesn't. But he goes from a one-night stand to a situation that requires hasty decisions. She's pregnant. And then he goes and follows through with those. He tries to trick Bathsheba's husband into doing things that were against his own character. And this is one of David's close men, his mighty men, that he did this to. And so, of course, we know that Uriah dies. They go back to living a life as usual, but Nathan the prophet comes over the sequence of time, and he says, hey, wait a minute here. You have sinned before the Lord. And sinning requires consequence. And so we now fast forward to the consequence that Nathan described to David, and it is nothing to be compared to the moments he enjoyed way back when, to the horrifying results that are culminating in these chapters. Remember, they're just culminating. There's been a whole sequence of events has taken place. David ends up with a blended family of multiple wives, and all of that finally explodes in the children. And so there's rape within the family. Then one brother murders another brother, and now there's treachery and unfortunately treason with his oldest son takes the throne by force, does unspeakable things that Nathan said would happen. David had no idea it would happen this way. And so he comes back into town brokenhearted because not only has he had all those other experiences, but now he's lost another son. All of this is a sequence of events that was set in motion on a night, or I should say, on a season where David determined to not do what was customary or expected of him. He didn't go to war with everybody else. Had he gone to war, had he been where he was supposed to be, he might not have had this problem. Had he caught himself as he was walking out on the balcony that night and looking down into other people's homes at the time when they bathed, he probably wouldn't have known Bathsheba in this way, which wouldn't have led to murder, I just want you to capture this one little message. The sin you're indulging in and the pleasure it's bringing is not to be compared to the consequential pain that is going to come as a result of it. We all know this. We've all experienced it. It's not something I'm telling you and you've never experienced consequence pain and having it be greater than the pleasure that you got by disobeying a rule or something like that. I just want to encourage us today that pay attention to what you're doing. See, this sequence of events plays out over years. So right now you could be indulging in something that you're thinking, oh wow, the pleasure I'm getting from this today is nothing to be compared to the consequential pain later. Of course there's going to be pain, but it's going to be so small compared to this. That's the lie of sin. Sin always promises more than it can deliver. And then when it comes time to deliver, it gives us something very different. And so I want to encourage you today. What you're doing right now is going to play out over the years. You may be in the consequences right now, but go to the Lord and ask Him to help you navigate consequences so you can come out the other side without having added more consequence. Sin is a liar, it's a destroyer, it's a deceiver. It tells us things that aren't true. It promises things it cannot deliver, and the consequential pain is so much greater that if we knew the comparison up front, we would never choose that pleasure if we knew how devastating the results were going to be. A lot of people aren't making the connection. Even believers today aren't making the connection between the sinful behavior of their past and the consequences they're dealing with today. Most of us are still blaming other people, other things, other circumstances as the reason why we're struggling. But the truth is, sin is the reason why the whole world is struggling, and the rolling consequences from it. And so I want to encourage you today, whatever it is that you're involved in that you know the Lord says he's not for, that's what we need to be getting rid of. That's what we need to stop, because the consequences will continue to roll if we don't. I hope this is helpful for you today. This is not meant to be a judgment. This is meant to be a strong warning to us all. I'm in this. I'm learning this morning and encouraging you to see what I've seen and recognize that it is our sin that's creating the consequences. And the pain of the consequences is so much greater than the pleasure of the sin. Let that be a warning to you. Let that be an encouragement to you that there is hope. We can move on from here. David's life does recover, as we'll see in coming chapters. Maybe I'll get to talk about it next week when I get back to these chapters, that David does recover. Oh, it's with pain and suffering and hurt, but he does recover and he finishes well, and we can do the same. Have a great day.